move on. We'll get some other ones.
What is a lesbian, sir?
It's your word. How do you... All right. If you liked another girl.
I like Olivia. Am I a lesbian?
Well, if you like Olivia, you could be, sure.
I like Olivia. I love Olivia. I like Olivia too. Am I a lesbian?
The Supreme Court has handed down a ruling temporarily blocking a California law preventing teachers from informing parents about their students' gender expression.
America, the Supreme Court just told California something that should have been obvious to anyone with a functioning brain. Parents have the right to know if their kid is going through a gender transition at school.
They argue schools kept families in the dark and supported students' social transitions without parental consent. California officials say the law protects student privacy.
Kids don't have privacy from their parents. Teachers don't get to vote. Schools don't have the authority. Parents do.
The Supreme Court today ruled in favor of the claim of parents to be able to know the gender identity and gender pronoun of their children.
And California, guys, is so committed in keeping secrets from parents that they're willing to risk $4.9 billion in federal education funding to keep the system running. What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you how California just became the poster child for government overreach and why parents are about to win the war on a war that they should have never been fighting in the first place. Let's talk about what California actually legislated. Assembly Bill 1955, passed in 2024, made it illegal for schools to have mandatory parental notification policies if students change their gender identity, pronouns, or expressions at school. Let me just bring that down a notch so everybody can understand. California didn't just say let students decide. They made it a crime, you guys, for school districts to require teachers to tell the parents. What?
That just makes no sense. I mean, it's just bull.
The ruling comes after religious parents and educators represented by the Thomas More Society challenged California school policies aimed at preventing staff from disclosing a student's gender identity. That decision temporarily blocks for now a state law that bans automatic parental notification requirements if students change their pronouns or gender expression at school.
Religious parents and educators said, hold on, you're forcing us to lie to parents? And California's response was basically, yes. And if you don't like it, we'll see you in court.
That policy requiring schools to tell parents about gender or pronoun changes. This originally started when California Attorney General Rob Bonta had sued Chino Valley Unified over its newly adopted parental notification policy. Bonta says the district's policy violates students' civil rights.
2 years ago, when Chino Valley Unified tried to implement a parental notification policy, California Attorney General Rob Bonta sued him. He didn't advise him. No negotiation. He sued a school district for wanting to tell their parents the truth about their own kids. Here's my question, you guys. Why are California teachers even having conversations with kids about sexual orientation and gender identity in the first place? What part of teach math, teach science, teach history includes help children socially transition without parental knowledge? This, my friends, should have never been allowed in the first place. Not in the first grade, not in the third grade, not in the seventh grade. Never. The Supreme Court didn't issue this emergency order because of some abstract legal theories. They did it because of what happened to one specific kid.
In an unsigned order, the court found, quote, "We conclude that the parents who seek religious exemptions are likely to succeed on the merits of their free exercise clause claim."
The case involves a seventh grade student whose school transitioned her socially, gave her a new name, gave her new pronouns, new identity without even telling the parents. And here's the kicker. That child is now under psychiatric care. Let that sink in for a moment. The school played doctor, they played therapist, they played parent, and the kid ended up needing actual psychiatrist treatment.
Kathy Molig with Trans Family Support Services says she's concerned about the impact on students in non-affirming homes.
I am really concerned about our kids that do come from these non-affirming homes, that they know that they're going to get in trouble, that they're going to possibly have violence brought up against them. possibly kicked out of their homes.
And watch how activists frame this. They're concerned about students in non-affirming homes. What? Translation for you guys that didn't understand that. Parents who don't immediately agree with transitioning their middle schooler or elementary schooler are labeled dangerous. Do you notice what they never say, you guys? They never mention the psychiatric outcomes. They never talk about the detransitioners. They never acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, parents know their own children better than a school teacher does. Now here's where California's priorities become absolutely crystal clear. In January 2026, 2 months before the Supreme Court ruling, Secretary of Education Linda, don't mess with her, McMahon, officially found California in violation of federal law. Her statement was absolutely brutal. Children do not belong to the state. They belong to the families. And she backed it up with consequences. California stands to lose $4.9 billion in federal education funding if they don't comply with parental rights laws.
Professor Erwin Chemerinsky with UC Berkeley School of Law says this is an emergency ruling.
This law is now put on hold. So what it means is that schools can require that teachers and other staff inform parents about the gender identity or gender pronouns of children.
They say schools can now require teachers to inform parents, but listen how they phrase it, like it's some radical, out-of-the-world concept that teachers would tell parents basic information about their own children. This is why, if you can, homeschool your kids. California's making a bet that they're gambling $4.9 billion, money that pays teachers, salaries, funds schools programs, and keeps the lights on, all to maintain a system where schools can keep secrets from parents. Heck no.
Well, new data shows that school attendance has become a national problem since the COVID-19 pandemic. The Department of Education says at least 10 million students were chronically absent during the first year of the pandemic, and those numbers remain high now.
And you know what else is happening in California? Chronic absenteeism. 1 out of 4 kids aren't showing up to school regularly. Enrollments are declining across the state and across many other states. Parents are pulling their kids out of schools. I wonder why, you guys. I wonder why. Maybe because when you tell parents they can't be involved in a major life decision affecting their children, they stop trusting you with their kids. I would. This Supreme Court ruling isn't happening in a vacuum. It is the second major parental rights victory in less than 1 year. In June 2025, the Ninth Circuit ruled that parents have the right to opt their elementary schools out of LGBTQ plus curriculum books. California fought that one too, and they lost. Now they lose again. The same issue, same court, same results. Parents have rights. Schools don't own your kids.
The Assembly is meeting right now to declare the nation's first Transgender History Month. Assembly leaders there say every August will now be known in the state as Transgender History Month. They say the month would educate and raise awareness about the contributions of the transgender community.
Look at the timeline. Well, California was declaring August Transgender History Month and mandating school celebrations. They were simultaneously suing school districts that wanted to tell parents about their kids' transitions. That is not about student safety. That is about ideology. That is about a worldview where the state apparently knows better than the parents.
So if you know by now, taxpayer dollars follow the student to whichever public school they attend. So fewer students in a school means schools are losing funding.
Every kid who leaves public schools takes their funding with them. Homeschooling is absolutely exploding. Private school enrollments are surging like never before. Charter schools are expanding. Parents are obviously voting with their feet and their wallet. And states, unfortunately, like California, can either respect parental rights or watch their enrollment and their budgets absolutely collapse.
The first reason is school districts just overbuilt. They built 630,000 more seats than they need. That's 50% more than what we need today.
And instead of asking why parents don't trust us, California doubled down and spent millions and millions on illegal fees defending a law that lets schools keep secrets.
School nurses are like, well, if you're not sure about whether your kid should come to school today, drop by the school. We'll check them out. We'll let you know whether they should stay home or not. And that school district, it's Livingston, California, has extraordinarily low levels of chronic absence, starting with their youngest kids.
And here's proof that it works the other way. Livingston, California, a district that partners with parents instead of hiding from them, has extraordinarily low chronic absenteeism. Because when you work with families instead of against them, good things actually happen. Believe that or not. Radical concept, right? America, the Supreme Court just handed down an emergency order that shouldn't have been necessary in the first place. They had to tell California something that every parent already knows. You have the right to know what's happening with your own child. Secretary Linda Putnett, the smackdown McMahon, put it perfectly in January. Children do not belong to the state. They belong to the families. Here's what California is betting on. They think that they can ignore this ruling, drag it out through the Ninth Circuit, and hope courts eventually side with them. They're willing to lose billions, fight parents, and watch enrollment collapse, all while maintaining a system where teachers have more authority over their kids than you do. But here's what they're missing. This isn't 2020 anymore. Parents watched schools shut down for C-19 while refusing to open. They saw curriculum become propaganda machines. They watched chronic absenteeism triple while administrations blame everybody except themselves. And now they know schools have been keeping secrets about their own children's mental health and identity. The parents' rights revolution isn't coming. My friends, it is already here. And California just became a national example of what happens when the government thinks that they own your kids. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.